Welcome to Risky Routes, a short interview series telling the stories of moments when travel forces you to grow up and adapt fast because risk creates perspective and perspective creates success. We talk about the chaotic, uncomfortable, and borderline bad idea journeys that push people to level up, trust themselves, and take control of their lives. I'm your host, Olivia Goldstein. Today I'm joined by Brett Miller, who's the founder of Cut Peak Energy. Brett has spent about 2 decades in complex environments and emerging markets with a focus on distributed energy, commercial real estate, and critical infrastructure. Today, his work centers on battery storage and microgrids, decentralizing the grid from a hub and spoke model to a more resilient web like network. Much of this effort focuses on rural communities where ski areas have emerged as a particularly promising real estate. At the outset of his career, he scaled and acquired the largest company in East Timor and later founded Myanmar's first facility management firm, growing it to 750 employees before its acquisition by a $2 billion global leader in the sector. Brett, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much, Olivia. I appreciate your time and thanks for the plug. That was wonderful.
Yes. No, this is great. And it's funny. So you and I first met at this dinner in Rhinebeck from a mutual friend. And as soon as you introduced yourself and mentioned that you started your career in East Timor, I was like, I've got to find Brett. I've got to get him on my podcast. I know he's got good stories.
Well, I'll have to say, the group of people that you put together was incredibly impressive, especially since it was up in Rhinebeck. We had the head of New York Green Bank there.
Yep.
NYSERDA there, and then a bunch of investors. It was honestly the most talent-packed room that I'd been to. And I've been to a few of these kind of melees put on. So I was incredibly impressed. And I hope I get invited back. Yeah.
You definitely do. Yes. Yes, you definitely will. And we want to come to your ski resort. I was just talking about that with my team today.
Absolutely. We need to set a date.
Yes.
The season is really good right now. I'm going Monday up to Berkshire East, but would love to have the team out. And we talked about Plattekill as well, where we can rent the mountain. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. We will. We're good at that.
Cool.
So tell me your best story.
Oof, I got a few, but I have one in particular because it was my most fearful moment. And I think that one, when I want to tell a story, I want to tell an extremity, right? So I'm going to tell you the one where I thought I was going to lose my life.
Wow.
And pretty, like you've been on an airplane and you're like, this thing could go down. But when I really thought that, that might be the last thing that I see or hear or feel, in this embodiment. So
it's scary. Yeah. Surreal experience. So where were you? What happened?
All right. So the story starts in East Timor, and I was 23 and it was 2008. I might have just turned 24, as it might have been in February. But anyway, and in East Timor at this time, they were going through a reconciliation process. So prior to this, the Indonesians had persecuted like a third of the population. They came out of a civil war where the police fought the military in the streets. And as a result of that, the United Nations came in and they had a peacekeeping force. And then sometime after that, there was the confrontation between the law enforcement in the country, and it displaced like about half the city of Dili, maybe a quarter to half the city of Dili, and many other hundreds of thousands of people around the country. Now, this is a half an island nation, right? So West Timor is Indonesia. It's about a 45-minute flight north of Darwin, Australia, and about an hour and a half east of Bali, Indonesia. Okay? Just to give you an idea.
Yeah.
All right. So that's the context. I guess I can dive into the narrative.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm eating a spaghetti special at a place called Dili Beach Hotel at lunch, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, I've got a few noodles in and all of a sudden I get a call, and it's the deputy head of UN security.
Oh.
And her name was Carolyn Iqbal. And she said, Brett, you have to get to Upper Gutto Barracks, which is the UN headquarters. He
Yeah.
said, your guards are rioting. They've locked our cars in. We can't get our vehicles. You must come now. And, I'm like, wow, okay, what do I do? What am I headed into? I drop my spoon, drop the fork.
Yeah.
I book it down the stairs, about three leaps down a full set of stairs, and I jump
Yep.
into my little mini red Pajero, which is this tiny little like geo tracker kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
I get in there. At that time, the only thing that I owned in that country was a little cassette, and it happened to be Akon. It came with the car. So
Akon.
Akon, and it was the Freedom album, right?
Yep.
So it's
Yep.
like, you know, no one knows what I've
Yeah.
been through, or what I put
Yep.
you through. I can't remember
Yep.
the lyrics, but anyway, so
Yeah.
I'm listening to that as I'm driving down Beach Road in Dili, East Timor, and to give you a sense of the place, on the left side you've got beautiful, like kind of yellow, pale yellow sand beaches. You've got palm trees growing north because it's the southern hemisphere, right?
Yep.
On the right side, we've got bullet holes in concrete walls. you know? You've got women and children riding on motorbikes. You got 5 people riding on a motorbike. You've got little
Yeah.
kids running behind their parents to catch up. You've got fruit vendors, with dragon fruit and bananas. You've got on the right side of the sidewalk, you've got women selling Tice textiles, which is a beautiful fabric, these vibrant strips of fabric in each kind of district within East Timor, or Timor-Leste, as they
Yep.
call it in kind of the language there, which is Tetun. Um, you know, each different region has its own kind of pattern, right? And they're just beautiful.
Right.
You should take a look at something. So that's on my right side. But I'm not thinking about any of this, right? Because all I'm thinking about is, where am I headed? And I'm headed to their headquarters. So you have this UN peacekeeping mission headquarters in the middle of the city. And then across the street, you have their parking lot where they park all their vehicles and they have all their generators. Well, it so happens they also have an IDP camp, which is internally displaced people. So these are refugees that aren't allowed to leave the country, right? And they've locked the gate. So I rock up there. Oh, by the way, in the midst of my drive, I call my number 2, my top daytime operations officer named Jacinto Barros, who is also a chief of youth, because they have this chieftain structure where each community has a village chief, and then they have a deputy chief and a chief of youth who coordinates all these kids. And it's a really important position because 60 something percent unemployment. All of them are clicked up in martial arts group because there's no rule of law, because the police fought the military, so they have to protect their block. And it's dangerous in some aspects, but safe if you know the people. And we knew the people, right? We knew how to deal with these chiefs, and they loved us because we employed a lot of people in their neighborhoods. So we're generally on the good side of them. So we rock up to the gate, and it is just, it's a shit show, right? It's just, there's people, half naked, right? Most of them not wearing shirts because it's a hot day. Spitting betel nut. So, this betel nut is like a nut that they put in. It's kind of like chewing tobacco, you would say, but it stains your teeth red. So it looks like Hannibal Lecter or something at lunch, right?
Yep.
And they're looking at it, and it's just up in roars. And I take my last gulp of breath and I step out of the car. Sunny Day was playing by that point on that Akon cassette. And
following the tracks. Yes.
And it was sunny. And I'm just like, okay, I'm going in. And Jacinto rocks up and he gets there, and we kind of stand outside of this gate, and you can imagine you have concertina wire on top of a chain link fence that's about 10 foot, 11 foot tall. And we kind of just grip our hands in there, and we're looking, and people take notice to us, and and I'm just like, what's going on? And I don't speak Tetun fluently. I know a few words, but at the kind of rapid pace that Jacinto is, kind of talking or loudly, maybe yelling even to the folks inside, I don't know what's going on. And he's not translating because we're in the moment. And then all of a sudden they open the gate a little bit, but just enough for us to go in sideways. And Jacinto goes in, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to follow him. So we go in, and as soon as we get in, the gate shuts. a wide, we walk in about 10 meters, and a wide circle of folks just kind of engulf us. The gate
What?
clanks shut. Yeah. And they're angry, and I look and I'm just like, okay, we're completely surrounded. We have no weapons, by the way. There's no weapons in this country for any of the
Right.
civilians, even us, because we were a security company, by the way. I was running the
Yeah.
largest unarmed guard company there. Um, and some are knuckling stones, like machetes. And meanwhile, I'm thinking in the back of my head, because a friend of mine who was a client, who was with USAID, a USAID project, had just been out in
Yeah.
the districts, had just run over a chicken. His driver ran over a chicken because they're going a little bit too fast through a neighborhood,
Right.
a remote village, and the locals dragged him out of the car, packed him up. He got life flighted. He lived, and he came back eventually. But that was on my mind, right? Like, wow, okay,
Yeah.
this can get nasty quick. Um, and there was just yelling, and it was just blinding noise. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't know it, so I started shaking. I was afraid.
Yeah.
I
It's a
was-
mob. You're surrounded by mob mentality too. Yeah.
and all the
Angry.
focus is on us.
Yeah.
And it's just it's unnerving, and I start to shake. And in East Timor, it's kind of normal for like men to hold hands, but it's always felt uncomfortable for me.
Right.
When one of the guys tried to hold my hand, because it's
Right.
not normal in our culture, right?
Right.
Um, but at this point in time, when Jacinto grabbed my hand because he saw I was visibly shaking, um, it felt very comforting, right?
Yeah.
Um, and he's holding on to it, and I'm just like, wow, like I'm shaking, right? And I'm just like from top to bottom, and I left the moment. It was bedlam.
Yeah.
I like checked out, like almost like an out of body experience, back to a time in my life, growing up on a horse farm in Missouri. At that point, we had moved it from Massachusetts, and it was a thing where my mom was having this like Tourette's ish episode kind of
Yeah.
thing. She didn't have Tourette's, but it was, she was going off because I don't know, maybe water hit the sink.
Right.
I was just going to fetch milk out of the kitchen, out of the refrigerator, and I asked her. I said, like, why are you angry? Why are you yelling? And that saved my life, I think. I mean, I came out of this. Jacinto was saying Mount Brett, which means brother Brett, right? Mount
Yeah.
Bot is like big brother, even though he was older than me and more senior. Um, he said Brett, and he's yelling at me. And I'm still back,
Yeah.
when I was a kid at 13 or whatever, right, on a farm. And
Yeah.
he's yelling at me and shakes my hand, and it wakes me out of this kind of stupor. And he's like, "What do you want me to say to these people? Like, we're about to get killed. What
Yeah.
do you want me to say?" And I said, oh, "Why? Why?" I'm still coming out of it. Like, why? What? He's like, "What?" I was like, "Why?" Ask him why. Why are they angry? Right?
Yeah.
And then he can't talk because it's a shit show, and they're kind of closing in too at this point. So then he drops my hand and he starts flapping his arms like this: calma, calma, calma,
Yeah.
calma, calma. Eventually he's slowing it down: calma, calma, kind of like a duck, flapping its wings, leaving a pond.
Yeah.
And eventually, they kind of, the crowd settles down enough to give us time to speak.
Yes.
And there's a few like people being, jackasses in the back, trying to cause trouble. There's one guy that's stink eyeing me really bad. It's just, you could tell he just wants to lop somebody's head off with the machete that he's
Right.
got in his hand, just because, he's got nothing else to do or something. I don't know. Maybe he's sick. And, but
Yeah.
but for the most part, the crowd is, giving us space to speak. And he said, "Why are you angry?" And they came back, and like a figurehead kind of stepped up, right? And mind you, this is an IDP camp, refugees that can't leave their country. We
Yep.
employ a few of these people, right? Like there's
Yeah.
people that we employ that have our guard uniform on in there. And he says, "Why are you angry?" And there's some back and forth. And again, I can't follow
Yeah.
exactly what
You
they're
can't
saying.
keep
I'm
up. Yeah.
picking up a word here or two. And then they say, "Well, we closed the gate because this is the last IDP camp, or one of the last IDP camps to be paid to resettle from the government, right?" So they were given $200 per tent. And to give you an understanding, like at that point in time, I think $68 was a good monthly salary for a guard.
Hmm.
We were
Hmm.
paying 36% more, and we reduced hours by 25%, which helped us become the largest company in the country, because we realized that we were just there to transfer wealth from the UN to the locals so that there wasn't a
Yep.
revolution when they left. But basically, people were flooding in to double dip. They're flooding in to get paid. So our guards shut the
Oh,
door.
so
Yeah, yeah, because it was a security threat, right? And like all these like
yeah,
shady characters are coming in just to get paid out because they know if they can sneak into the camp now, the government's going to give them $200 a tent. So this place is just getting overpopulated and all
over.
these new
Yeah,
faces and like, and then the guards are worried because it's like, hey, we got UN assets here, and I was like, oh my god, that's so reasonable. So the next thing I
yeah,
do is like, oh, this is a misunderstanding, right? This is
yeah,
like they're aggravated because they're being misunderstood, right?
yeah,
And I think back, and that's the same realization I came to with my mom in the kitchen.
yeah,
And I think it's a lot of the fear that people have, like fear of being misunderstood. I think is one of the most aggravating things for someone to go through. I think we can all understand that.
totally.
Yeah, so I called up my reporter friend Matt, and I said, Matt, I said, I got a story for you. There's a riot at
Yeah,
Abrigado Barracks. And by the way, Abrigado Barracks is like a play on words. Obrigado means like thank you in Portuguese. It used to be a
yeah,
Portuguese colony.
yeah,
So Obrigado Barak in Timor means like thank you very much.
yeah. Oh, that's
So
cute. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So I said, Matt, you got to get here. There's a story,
yeah,
and he comes and brings his camera and takes the story. And it quiets down after that a little bit, right? Like, but there's still these
yeah,
errant shouts in the back. But at this point in time, the crowd is turned and they're like
mhm,
pointing at these guys that are yelling, and they point with their lips, right? So if
yeah,
I'm pointing at you right in front of me, I go, If I want to go over the top of you, it's like,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah,
they're like, God, get that guy to shut up.
yeah.
But they're not saying any of that. They're just doing it with their
Right.
lips, and
Phillips. Yeah,
yeah, and they're suppressing the kind of frustration. And then we gained the floor at that point, right? So I said, through my translator, Jacinto, I said, "Oh, I know you," and I'm pointing at my guards. I know you. I know you. I said, "Listen, your problem is not with the UN. You guys want money. You want to go home. I get it, but you're going to get us all fired. We're
yeah,
going to lose jobs. We're all going to be not better off." I said, "Your problem is with the government, which is the Housing and Human Settlement and Finance Director, Ministry of Finance, is down the street. So
yeah,
that's where you need to go, right?" And it's funny because, to be clear, I mean, I was immature. I was young. I was
yeah.
23, 24
23.
years old.
Yeah,
And I had to go do collections at that ministry building, and they made me sit on the friggin' floor. They took the chairs away because I was persistent, and I would go there and I would play Snake on my old Nokia phone, those little,
yeah.
and the little blue
Yes,
one,
yes.
what is 36, whatever, 36,
Yeah,
I can't remember. And I would just sit there like for the whole day, and then come back the
yeah.
next day and do the same thing. And then eventually they got smart and they took the chairs away, and I was like, all right, assholes,
I'll sit the floor.
so, so then I wall sat and built my ski legs up, and
Yeah,
and my collection guy just cackling over there. He had an obnoxious laugh, and they would just Jose Reyes, great guy.
yeah,
Um, and he was cackling, so we were kind of annoying them in
yes,
retaliation, but it was a little tit for tat. So instead of having like this riot on my client's doorstep, I
yeah,
said, you guys should go down there and sit over there. So that's what they
yeah,
did. So they wailed open the gates, and like like street bred army of 300 people, percussing arms, half naked with machetes and stones, walked down to the Ministry of Finance to sit there for a few days and get paid. And I went back to my spaghetti. So that's
yeah.
my story.
God. Wow. What a wild experience that not only did, oh, sorry, my internet's unstable. That not only did all of that like unfold the way it did, but like
Why? I think
like we're able to diffuse the analyze challenges.
I th- um, Olivia, it looked like the internet on your side might be a little bit shaky. I didn't catch too much of that. I'm
Oh,
sorry. Now it looks
all
like you're
right. Let me
good.
see.
You
Am
got
I
yellow
better now?
bars now. Yeah, you got that. Yeah, yeah. Now you're good.
Okay. I got
All
yellow
right.
bars. We're trying.
Now you're
We're
white
trying. We,
bars.
you're always working. We're at a conference. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What a wild experience. So I love it in a lot of ways because, I mean, it's so scary. It's so surreal, but it's like you were able to have someone with you that was able to be a calming presence for you and help center you and like diffuse the situation and then also like address and solve it in real time. Right. Obviously, it's a much more complex situation that you didn't solve the country's entire problems that day, but it's like you were able to touch upon these people's issues with what was going on in real time and help them solve this problem too. And not only take it off of you, but like what is the best way to move this forward instead of being angry? It's like how can you address the problems you have?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's that. And I'll tell you, I learned more and got more from that experience, I think, than they did. Um,
Yeah.
and it wasn't just Jacinta was with me. It was, flashing back to that experience with my mom.
Yep. Yeah.
Like she saved my life, right? Like that question of why, and I look
Why?
back at it, and it's really kind of the lessons that I drew from it was, you have to be able to assume somebody's perspective, right?
Yes.
And see the world from their view, whether you agree with them, whether it makes sense to you or not. And I don't think that's like extremely crazy advice, right? Like it's kind of common, but if you think about it, people say, "Oh, explore an perspective or listen to a perspective," but no, it's more than that. It's putting your bias away, um, and thinking exactly, the reasoning, right? And
Hmm.
oftentimes when there's conflict between your perspective and another perspective, they say a good way to negotiate that is to explain back to somebody what you heard, right?
Right.
And if it sounds absurd to you, it might sound absurd to them. you know
Right.
um,
Right.
but really exploring that perspective, and I guess some of the other kind of lessons that I learned from that, was just the value of life, right?
Yes.
Um, in one sense, they didn't value ours very much. They were ready to lop our heads off. Um, and and I think this question about asking them what's wrong, why are they angry, really showed them that we didn't feel like we were more valuable than them. Um,
Hmm.
and you have to remember these are people that were living in tents for
Yeah.
quite some months
Yeah.
because their houses got burnt down.
Yep.
Um, and it's somewhat feral conditions. Like they're pretty well taken care of because it was across the street from the Upper Ghetto Barracks. But how well can you be taken care of in a parking lot with a bunch of cars, generators, and tents?
Yep.
Um, being fed rice and other things
Yeah.
that are distributed through aid organizations. So they definitely weren't, glamping. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
no, yeah.
Um,
It's like it was almost like the first time that maybe someone had kind of seen them and asked them, right? Too, like, what are your concerns? What are your issues? So
yeah,
it's a crazy experience, but it's kind of nice that you were able to be, you had this out of body experience. You were pulled away for a moment, and your first words back were, "Why?
yeah,
Why are you angry? Why are you upset?" And it's like, I mean, obviously, there's lessons in like conflict resolution and negotiation that you could always all pull from this, but I think the underlying theme is like, how can you truly understand someone else's perspective and like authentically get them to share it and not just like ask them why they're mad, but actually truly try and put yourself in their shoes.
yeah, and
So it's
diffuse
yeah,
and diffuse that situation, like you said.
yeah,
I think they felt like we were wearing the same shoes.
yep,
And then there wasn't an opposition, right? Because the crowd changed immediately after
yeah,
that, right? And they
yeah,
changed on the guys. They turned on the guys in the back
right,
that wanted
yeah,
to still lop our heads off, right? And then they're like,
right,
no, 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 this guy's here to help us, right? Like he's calling a reporter, you
right,
know.
right. Yeah, he's coming. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Um, and it was, to me though, it was so shocking to hear their response because it was such a logical explanation, and it was a
yeah,
good thing that they were doing. But there was this disconnect in communication between the United Nations police and the UN
yeah,
and the guards there. And
yep,
like what they saw, what you see chaos, you see
yeah,
riot, you see, and you're just worried about the impact of that
yep,
situation.
yep,
Um, and yeah, it was very easy to diffuse it.
yeah,
And they had a very legitimate reason. And actually they were following protocol. when it
Yep.
came down to it. So,
Yeah.
like, anyhow,
Yeah.
yeah, that was
So
probably the story I wanted to share. I got
yeah,
others, but
I know. I have to ask though.
Hmm?
23, grew up in Missouri.
Yeah,
What brought you to East Timor?
yeah, that's a good question. So, first of all, it wasn't just Missouri. I was born in Lake Forest, like North Shore, Chicago, and moved away when I was about 5. I'd say my upbringing, it was really Western Massachusetts and Shelburne
Okay.
Falls, from about 5 to 13 or so. Um, but yeah, I definitely, went through high school and college in Missouri. When I went back to Missouri, I had a couple of friends in an apartment complex downstairs, 2 boys who were much bigger than me, much better looking than
Yeah.
me. And and I was just like, the third wheel friend that would go out with them and just kind of live off the popularity that they had with the ladies in college to be admitted. I mean, I'm burying my immature soul to you right now on your
Yes,
podcast,
yes,
but
yes,
like that,
yes.
anyway. So one time we were playing beer pong downstairs in their apartment, and I looked up on the bookshelf and I saw their last name on the bookshelf. I was like, "What is that? Whitcomb?"
Yeah.
And there's like 3 or 4 books there, and I'm just like, "What is it?" Oh, my dad's an author. And
Yeah.
it came out that their dad at that time was like the most infamous FBI agent in the country. And,
What?
yeah, so he was part of the hostage rescue team, which is this elite force that has like
Uh-huh.
policing abilities within the FBI. He's on Netflix right now. Sniper at Waco and Ruby Ridge, those two like you know
Yeah.
events that the FBI probably don't
Yep.
like to talk about too much. Um, but he had retired, and before he did that, though, he wrote a book on his experience in the hostage rescue team, and it's called Cold Zero.
Hmm.
And then the towers fell. 9/11 happened
Yep.
like 2
Yep.
days prior to this book being published. And once you publish that book and you get the government to let you do that, you can't really go back in. The cover's blown and everything, right? So he's kind of aggravated at this point in time that he can't go back and save the world, and do these missions. So he ends up becoming kind of a well-known TV personality. He has a show, Checkpoint, with CNBC, co-hosted. And he kind of does the speaking circuit and everything. So their dad was this larger than life character, and I said, man, I want to work for that guy.
Yeah.
And then the boys went to East Timor the summer before for summer holiday, and they described
Yeah.
this like you know, lawlessness, fun, and danger. And I was
Yep.
hooked. I'm the kind of person who likes to break trail, right? Like,
Yeah.
just driven by curiosity mainly,
Yeah.
or hastened by boredom. you know,
Yeah.
um, and he came back. Chris came back one time to visit him. We were at the gym. We're about to put up some weight, and the dude like punching himself in the temple before, and I spotted him,
Yeah.
and we were doing sets to failure, and as soon as he failed, I asked him for the job, and he laughed, and
Yes.
then he put
That's
up the weight,
great.
and he said he'd try
Yep.
me out for 3 months. So um,
That's awesome.
that's how I got to East Timor. Like after that, yeah, graduated university. 4 days later, I'm in Bali. Make a drunken idiot of myself there. And then I ended up falling asleep below my beach cabana and on a
Yep.
place that was smothered with bed bugs or whatever. And it's got ridden with bugs from
Yep.
neck to toe. And then, yeah, that's how I got there.
It's true founder energy. Everything you say, I'm like, oh my gosh. It's like the thrill, the sense of adventure, all of it.
Yeah, it was a really fun time.
Yeah.
And, and I'm looking forward to what's next, right? Because I think
Yeah.
a lot of that has not left.
It hasn't, right? And it's like it's cool because I feel like now you're exploring and as I've gotten to know your company now too, you're exploring how you can apply some of those same themes, right? It's like adventure, like breaking things but fixing them too, right? And it's like trying to like solve problems too. For
Yeah,
things that are broken, right? It's like, as you were telling me about,
systems that are
yeah,
broken,
systems
really.
that are broken, truly, right? And
Yeah.
it's like, as you were telling me about um, cut peak energy, and I've spent a lot of time with Kevin chatting about
Oh,
it too.
yeah.
It's just absolutely
Appreciate
fascinating.
the plug. I'll throw my hat on
Yeah, there we go.
here.
Yes, yes. Yes.
You're right, and I guess the common thread there, because I've been reflecting on it, and
Yeah.
really what it was is, my same boss back then, Chris Whitcomb, I came back and I was a little disillusioned because I didn't know what to do back here. I'd had a
Yeah.
network built over there. He said, you got to make your world smaller, right? This world's too
Yep.
complex, too big in the United States. You're in a swamp. You went from a shark in a pond or a whale in a pond to like a
Hmm.
tadpole in an ocean, basically.
Yep.
So I was thinking about that. And and I guess the common thread was looking for where are systems broken and
Yep.
leaving people vulnerable
Yeah.
and left behind. And
Yep.
ski areas is it. With our energy system,
Yes.
the way that it needs to decentralize, they're all in rural areas. Many of them are in economic justice areas, but they support towns. I mean, I grew up skiing Berkshire East when I wasn't shoveling manure on my horse farm in Western Mass. And if Berkshire East went out of business, that whole town goes out of business.
Out of business, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So the
No, it's
resiliency
so
of it.
true.
And then not only that, they provide everything that you need to take care of a population.
Yep.
Water, food, shelter, healthcare, jobs, recreation.
Yep. Everything. It's true.
Excuse me. Sorry.
No, this is great. No, I've really enjoyed both getting to know you and learning your stories. And I hope that we could get together again soon for another dinner and you can share more of them.
Absolutely. I'd love to. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. And if there's anything that I can do to kind of help, with your podcast or with any other endeavors that you have, Olivia, absolutely. Please let me know because I
Thanks,
will help.
Brett. I appreciate it. I appreciate you.
All right. Thank you
All
very
right.
much. You have a
Take
wonderful
care.
day. Enjoy the rest of your conference.
Thanks.